Yes, Luke admits that consistency was his big issue and that he struggled with it and you struggled with the fact that he wasn't consistent enough.
Yeah, it was times like that. And I'll give you a good example. He may not like this story. In '98, we were playing the Utah Jazz. Did he ever tell you this?
I'm not sure which story this one's going to be.
In Utah Jazz, Scottie Pippen was out, you know, and we knew we just played Utah in the finals the year before. So every game we play against Utah is a message. You want to send a message. So I go to Luke at the beginning of the game. I say, look, you have to establish yourself inside. You have to dominate. We're going to come to you early. You're really gonna have to set the tone for us because we don't have Scotty. It's me and Dennis and you. So he understood that. He knew the importance of that. The first quarter ends. Luke has 12 points, 4 blocks, and 4 rebounds. And I go to Luke, I say, that's how you play, man. You do that, we dominate. We up by 16. We're up by 16, we're killing them in their building. At the end of the game, Luke had 12 points, 4 rebounds, and 4 blocks. It's like he sufficed the anticipation or what we wanted him to do in the first quarter, but he forgot it was 3 other quarters. We're winning by 16, we lose by 15. So now my frustration is like, you know, it's boiling, and I go into the locker room and I'm sitting down. I'm just trying to figure out how did we lose this game. We seemed like we had a good rhythm the first quarter, blah blah blah, and Luke's sitting across from me. And once again, Luke has this demeanor that, you know, he doesn't really show. Like I'm like boiling over here, but I'm really trying to hold it in because it's just one game. But I understood the significance of the game because we're playing against Utah. You want to make sure that we send a message. And Luke says, it's okay, mate. It's okay. And the way that he said it made it seem like he didn't really receive it the way that I was receiving it. And I just chuckled and I just looked at Luke and I said, you know what, Luke? That is the last time I'm gonna give you a compliment in the middle of the game. Because you don't receive compliments well, in the sense that you feel like you stop and you don't really pursue. And I said it, you know, from a, chuckling, because I was really frustrated as opposed to yelling. I wanted him to understand, look, man, you don't have to just, you have to keep playing. You don't play just for one quarter just so that now I can look at you and say, you're doing a great job, blah, blah, blah. And I get it, but we still have to play the other three quarters of the game. And it told me more about Luke in the sense that, you got to keep pushing him. You got to keep pushing him. You got to keep pushing him. You can't let him get comfortable, because he gets comfortable, then he relaxes, and we need him to keep being aggressive, and from that point on, I didn't do it in a way, I don't think I did it in a way to point, or jab, or punch. It was almost like, okay, I gotta keep encouraging him. I gotta keep encouraging him. Even when he's doing well, I gotta keep encouraging him, because he needs that, that reinforcement. That was the thing I learned about Luke. And once I learned that, then I understood how our relationship was gonna be established. And, a hug is probably more than a yell. A pat on the back is probably more than a punch, that type of thing. And, once I was able to understand that as a leader, then we can always have a certain dialogue. Okay, mate, I can, go back and forth with you, but also I know how to get you to this point that we need you to be consistent. Phil was good at it. I learned it from Phil. Phil understood that with Dennis, he understood that with me, he understood that with Scotty, Tony, Steve, all of it. And that was the strong points about who Phil Jackson was. I had to learn that through him, and then when I got back, obviously, I had different personalities that I hadn't been with. So I had to understand who these people were so that I could have a relationship, the Steve Kerr and the Punch, and Tony Kukoc from the '92 Dream Team, blah blah blah. Once we understood how those dynamics would work, the communication aspect was much simpler.
So you obviously taught Luke a lot. Did Luke teach you anything? You kind of intimated a little bit then that you realised that you had to kind of meet the person where they were at. Was there anything else that Luke taught you?
No, I think, I mean, his calm demeanor and his acceptance for all different types of people is an unbelievable trait, and I was able to learn and watch and analyze how he built his relationship with, coexist with in his personalities and his friends and things of that nature that, okay, I could take bits and pieces of that. Now, could I change my personality? I can, but at least I can have a better understanding for how other people are thinking so it can alter my thought process and how I would adapt to certain people. So yeah, I learned things from Luke. I learned things from other players. But my personality is always going to be dominant no matter what, but at least it's a consideration to understand and appreciate who I'm playing with and what gets them to tick and how do you relate and have a relationship with them. I mean, those are things that I had to make adjustments to.
So you won 2 3-peats, which is just beyond incredible. How hard was that second 3-peat for you? Sort of just summarising all of that up for me.
Well, it was harder than the first 3-peat, mainly because I think, anytime you continually repeat things, it's harder from a mentality standpoint to create that moment, as if you never won, or you just win it for the first time. The first 3-peat was a team that was together for a long period of time, pretty much 8 to 9 years together. Second 3-peat was a patchwork. We got players from different places. And I wasn't there most of the time when they got there. The first time I was there, I was the existing parts from the previous year. And then we just kept plugging it in. And everybody, saw the mentality, everybody adjusted to the mentality. Well, the second 3-peat was I brought my mentality to a team that was already existing. So now I had to apply that. And it was much more difficult to do that, in the second 3-peat than the first. And, not that it, obviously it worked, but it put a lot of, mental and physically, straining, situations, with teammates, and understanding, the mentality that it took to win. And we got there, and we appreciated it. And, the '96 was probably the toughest one because I was coming from a defeat in '95 where I played baseball. Everyone thought I was a step slower. So I had to prove myself, and my father, the first time I actually done it without my father. So, I mean, all these emotions and all these different things were coming at me. And, to me, that was the most difficult if I had to pick of the 6. And then once we were able to understand, okay, this is Michael Jordan, he's going to be aggressive. This is Luke, he's going to be somewhat passive, but you got to pull him along. Steve Kerr, you got to get him encouraged. Dennis, you got to pull him in every now and then. He's going to be Dennis. Scotty's going to be Scotty. Once we understood how the players were on that team, it clicked. No wonder we won 72 games, the following year. And then, we was able to maintain, what we did pretty much in the second 3-peat. But it took a process, so it was much harder.